Hi everyone, it's Kevin from Smart here. Today's webinar is about the Smart Add-ons. Today we have Crystal as our moderator. It'll probably be a little bit shorter than normal. I don't think this will take the full half hour. We'll see how we go. So Crystal, I'll just double check you can hear me clearly, please.
Perfect, thanks Kev.
No worries, thanks. Okay, so just so you know, if you have a question or a query, you can type something into the question section down the bottom on the right-hand side of your screen. So Smart Add-ins, first thing I'll say, it can be a little confusing. We've got two add-in buttons, and I'm not quite sure. I'll need to ask Smart in Calgary why this is the case, but if we click on the add-ins in our toolbar, they're actually normally to do with equation editors and lining objects up, but the add-ins that we're actually talking about, we will see the same icon over here on our left. It's this icon that we're looking at, so down our left hand side. So we're talking about these 8 add-ins here. So basically when I click on my add-ins page, I'm presented with the 8 add-ins we already have. So really what they are is they're notebook software extensions. So I imagine if you think a little bit of added software for the notebook software, and that just gives Smart, I suppose, a little bit more control over distributing stuff to you, and you'll understand that as I go through. So a couple of things about them. One, the little corner icon up here, if I click on it, I can actually manage my add-ins. So you can see I've got concept mapping, I've got GeoGebra, image search, and on the right-hand side you can see I can enable and disable these tools. So I haven't got all my add-ins turned on, I've just got a few to show you tonight. So I'll just click that off so you see that happen, and we'll just move through my notebook here. Don't forget the recording will be made available to you. So, okay. So our navigation, just that little bit of confusion. We're not talking about the top toolbar add-ins. We're talking about the left-hand side. Okay, so this tab here. We have our Smart Notebook add-in manager to turn on and turn our add-ins off. So the first add-in that you'll see on my notebook is the image search. So I'm just going to add a page so you see this happen live. So basically, if I click on the image search, I can search for clip art or pictures. We do search with Bing, so we've used planets as a bit of a theme over the last few weeks. So I'll just search for planets. We can see that the images come straight in. It's a safe search, and you'll notice Smart stressed that at the top, and the reason they use Bing is it's the best search for white hat searches. So I'll just drag my picture out and it becomes available to me within my notebook. So just moving along, so it's a safe search. I think the odd thing does get through. You just need to be very, very careful. I know somebody searched on hot recently and got a whole lot of pictures of Kim Kardashian, but Smart does try its best to keep this as a safe search. You can search for pictures or clip art. As you saw me just do then, it's simply a drag and a drop. It's an ideal thing to be using with the lab label and reveal activity, and that what the findings are showing around students is that in many cases they retain imagery better than they retain text. So quite a useful little tool. It's nice that you can quickly search the internet, know it's a safe search, and embed that safe search within your notebook. The next item is the activity builder. So basically with the activity builder, we select an object and we nominate it. So I've just got an object here ready to sort out what are healthy versus not healthy foods. So what that allows me to do is if I drag my healthy food in, it would stay within the nominated container. If I put in a unhealthy food, it would bounce out. It's a little bit of a legacy product to me. If I were going to do this, I probably would go to Smart Lab and I'll just quickly show you. So in SmartLab, we've got label and reveal, which ties nicely into your image searches. We've got matching activities. So if we just click on our matching activities, and I'll just look for, if I can use animals and save. I'll just cancel out of that. I should have put an activity in for you, sorry, but basically the lab activity allows you to do exactly the same concept, this idea of drag and drop, but in a much nicer way. So I think this is like the previous version of what we're going to do. If I was going to do something along the lines of activity builder, I probably would tend to do it from within SmartLab now. I think you're going to get better results. Our next one is Smart Notebook Maestro. I can't really show this to you in full, but I will click on it and then I'll guide you through what it does. So you would have noticed then I just clicked in the top left-hand corner to come back. So when I click on Maestro, basically I'm presented with a scan code. What that scan code does, if I have Notebook app on my iPad, and this is the only thing I found in Smart that is not device agnostic, it is iPad dependent, but you can download the Notebook app, and I just noticed a spelling mistake on my slide, sorry. So, but you can download the Notebook app from the App Store. I think it costs $7 to $9. The Notebook app looks like Notebook. If you're on the same Wi-Fi and then you point at your scan code, what that allows you to do is it allows you to join this notebook session. So anything that was happening in this notebook would then, I would see it on my iPad. I can ink from my iPad, do things like that. It's not a full version, but it allows me to walk around the room with the iPad in my hand and navigate and annotate to my notebook session. Something like a 3D object, because it's an app, it's not a full-blown computer. It's not going to render fully on the app, but you'll still see a picture or something like that. So really, one of the things for me Notebook Maestro offers us is if I have a child with a disability in the room who I would have liked to bring up to the board to have an experience, I could actually hand them the app and they can still interact with my notebook at the front of room display. So quite a simple idea. The only thing is your board and your board and your iPad have to be on the same Wi-Fi network. Pardon me. Okay, Smart Recorder. I've just got a little recording here just to show you what happens. So if I click on my button here, you'll see that I've just recorded me drawing a little line. So it's just lesson recorder. Be a little bit careful with, with Smart, we can have a full-blown recorder that will record everything on my screen. If I was in PowerPoint or film or wherever, the lesson recorder is particular to what's happening with my notebook. So I'll just click on lesson recorder so you see it. So again, I'm going to move out of Notebook Maestro by going to my little 4 square at the top left, click on it to see the rest of my add-ons. So if I click on lesson recorder and I start a new recording, basically whatever I do within my notebook, so you see I would have got the red square, that's showing me that this is now live. So whatever I do within my notebook, whatever little pictures I draw, and I'll just stop recording, that becomes embedded within my notebook page. So where might we use it? Very useful for us as a teacher, that's obvious, but it's also a nice way to trap feedback from students. So students at the board, ask them to turn on lesson recorder, create a new recording. You can record their penning, and if you have a mic plugged in, you can actually record their thoughts and their thinking, and that becomes a part of your curriculum document. So quite a useful little item. You can see that your recording becomes embedded, so it becomes part of my notebook page. There's a really good little YouTube on lesson recorder at the Ed2Ed channel, but I can see lots of potential for how that may be used. Okay, just moving along. Our next add-in is Smart Blocks. I did a maths one last week and I covered off on Smart Blocks a fair bit, so I'll just go over it fairly quickly for you. If I click on my Smart, and again, I'm just exiting here, I click on my Smart Blocks, you can see I've got addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, power, square root, and probably the one that's really good is the unknown block. So it takes two inputs and you can then have the students try and guess what the operation is. So I'll just use an easy one for us. I'll just do multiplication. Basically, I drag the block onto my page. I'll just make it a little bit bigger and probably similar to last week. I'm not using a pen at a board. I'm trying to do this with my mouse, so the experience won't be that fantastic. But if I click on my pens and just go to my normal pen, and if I draw a 7, hopefully, and I just go back to my mouse, sorry, just go back to my line, and I draw a line from the object. This may not help work, but I will explain it. You can see that the line changed to a pointed arrow and the figure was recognized as a 7 within the block. And over here, I think I might play it safe and just do another 7. And again, the figure is recognized. Nice thing with smart blocks, great for kids to perform operations, really good for teachers. You can link blocks together, and we can, if we want to, I'll just use an eraser, we can actually reset our block just by erasing it. So smart blocks, really good little interactive tool, using the pen as the intuitive tool to create stuff. And again, really good way for teachers to demonstrate, but don't be frightened to bring kids up to the board to have experiences as well. And they may annotate their experience here, just about what they were thinking as they were doing that. So again, trapping feedback. Similarly, last week I quickly went over Geogebra. So Geogebra has its own website. If you use it, particularly if you're sort of grade 5 through to senior maths, I'd strongly suggest you go to the Geogebra website and have a look there. Why would we use the Geogebra website rather than a notebook? I just recommend that you go there to just have a look. They've got some really good examples, they've got some teacher comments, and they've also got a manual about using Geogebra. Difference for me is that if I'm using Geogebra in my notebook, then it becomes embedded within my notebook and becomes part of my curriculum capture. So I'll just do a quick search just so you've seen this happen. So I'm just going to insert a Geogebra widget. So I'm just going to search on fractions, and all the Geogebra widgets are available to me within my notebook. So you can see that some are being brought through in German, but there's lots of English stuff as well. So I'll just do multiplying fractions. All I do is, oops, a little bit of a mousing issue there, sorry. All I do is drag that onto my page and we can see the widget starting to form. So it's a little interactive, manipulative. My maths isn't fantastic, but we've got all our stuff here. We can populate this, see it graph. From my point of view, it then is embedded within my curriculum document. Quite often I suggest with these type of widgets, if you're doing things like this, you can firstly, you can clone your page, so you've got multiple copies of it, and then you can actually add a page after it. So you can have groups of students come up to do the activity. So 3 or 4 students might come up, have an experience with Geogebra. They may then write their understanding here. we save it, it becomes part of our curriculum document. So we're tracking the students' understanding to perhaps take back to our planning meeting to discuss how students working with this. So really good little tool for you to use, Geogebra. Again, I'd have a little look at the website, but lots and lots of stuff for you there. Have a good play with that one. I'm sure if you're teaching maths, you'll find lots of things you can do with it. So I'll just click back to go back. The Smart Cap app is dependent really on you having a cap board. Some of you may have Smart Caps IQ boards in your school. Some of you may have this little type of cap board or the full whiteboard version. How cap works, there's 4 cameras in the corner. Basically, when you write, what you're writing can be linked to people's devices and phones. So they'll see what's being written on this board on their phone. Similarly, in a classroom with students, if you've got our CAP IQ board at the front of the room, you can link kids' devices. So it's digital whiteboarding that can be shared. The interesting thing is, if you have a notebook open and you click on the Smart Cap app, you'll be asked to enter, so this board here, or your board at the front of the room, has an ID. If you're asked to enter that ID here, and then you can actually connect to the board. So if I had this board on the side of my classroom, whatever I was showing on this board, I can then embed in my notebook as a page. That's a little bit hard to probably get your head around, but there is a good little video on that as well. But basically, Smart prides itself on using digital whiteboarding that can be distributable. One of the ways it can be distributed is to be distributed back into your notebook, so you can actually capture your digital whiteboarding within your notebook. Okay, one of the ones that people really like in Notebook with the add-ins is the YouTube. So I'll just show you how it works and why you might use it. As we know, kids these days, they're highly visual. A lot of schools block YouTube, understandable, but you'll notice here we have add YouTube videos, search safely, and that's important for videos to add to your notebook. So I'm just going to click on search, and I'll just use that theme of planets again. So you can see that I'm searching YouTube, but I'm searching it from within Smart's servers. So I click on Smart on planets. From within here, I can actually preview the YouTube video. So it's going to take a while to stream. So you can see I can preview. So I can quickly look through my videos. When I find a video that I like, you can see I've got add video. So I'm just going to click on that and add it to my notebook. Now, a couple of things that really speak well for me here. So one, so you can see the video is within my notebook document. I can play it within my notebook document. So just a little bit of streaming. I think this is high F, sorry. So I probably should have picked something a little easier on my bandwidth at home. Okay, oops. So you can see I can show, and I can go full screen if I want. I can show my video from within my notebook. If I want to, I can stop and I can annotate notes next to this video. The other thing that I can do is if I want to use Smart Ink tools, I can actually screen capture parts of the video and place it in another notebook page. So if there's a key, let's say we're doing plant cells, if there was a key moment, I would stop the video, capture the video and drop it into another notebook page, just using Smart Ink tools. So the best part for me, and hopefully you noticed, is the YouTube. It's a safe search, but the search comes without any YouTube ads. So really, really well thought through for schools. Again, for me, if I go to YouTube via the internet, we show here, if I go through Notebook, I see, I save, I annotate, and I can reuse. It's going to be, pardon me, again, it's going to be part of my curriculum document. So hopefully that's making sense. A couple of things, as I said, today probably won't be, we only have at the moment within Smart Notebook 6 add-ins, but Smart will probably, since I've started with Smart, the Smart Blocks didn't used to be there, the Smart Cap didn't used to be there, and the YouTube didn't used to be there. To get those things, basically, so the Cap app, you actually have to search the internet, Smart Add-Ons, Cap app. You'll be asked a couple of little questions about yourself, and then you can download the app into Smart Notebook, similarly with the YouTube add-in. So you're basically searching for these smart add-ins to bring them into your notebook. So now, fantastic news. We are running a free conference, September 26th, 27th. I know for most of the eastern side of Australia, that's school holidays. We're capping the conference at 250 people. You may have got an invite. If you didn't, just go to our website and hit the contact and we'll send you an invite to the conference. We've got some fantastic speakers. We've got several streams, including training, innovation, keynote speakers, and it's going to be held at Shaw School at Sydney. So please try and come along, particularly if you're Sydney based. It'll be great to see you there. So, okay, Crystal, did we have any questions today from the audience?
Hi, Kev. I've got one question here. Are there any planned smart add-ons for Notebook?
At the moment, that's a really good question. As I said, when I started with Smart, there's been 2 or 3 added since. I'd imagine there will be alerts for people with Notebook licenses, but I'll get across that and see if there's anything coming. Some of the Smart software engineers will be at the conference, so if you can come along, we might be able to ask that question in the real world. But I'm certainly, add-ins, you do get an alert about add-ins, and as I say, you then have to download them, and a couple of these weren't there when I started with Smart less than 2 years ago. So I'd say there will be more things coming. So, and Smart's continually developing and adding to its software and to its hardware. So any other questions, Crystal?
No, that's it. Thanks, Kev.
No worries. Thanks for attending. I know it's a bit hard this time of day, but we don't have too many people jump on, but we do know we get a lot of people look at our recordings. They should be available at our website and at YouTube. Thanks again for attending. Next week, we're talking about web-based resources for Smart. So if you're interested in learning a bit more about how to use Notebook or how to interact with Smart products, we'll be pointing you to those websites, which will be very useful for you. Thanks again for attending, and talk to you next week.